Hey everybody, welcome to Anime Sickos. Blow, kaboom! It's the great podcast for geniuses, where we talk about the four pillars of modern misery: anime, gaming, posting, and jobs. I am Tom, an anime sicko.
I am Joe, an anime sicko. We have a special guest with us today. She had described herself as our biggest fan, which is not true because Tom is objectively the biggest fan of himself. He's always talking about how he loves positive feedback.
I tell you what, people often say when they're podcasters, like, oh, I just hate listening to my own voice. That is an insane thing to me. I love listening to my own voice.
100% same. Yeah.
Editing the podcast is a joy to me because I get to hear myself be a genius. And I listen to the released episodes like 3 and 4 times, like for pleasure.
Yeah, you're a weird little piggy.
Anyway, so our guest today is Erica Dreisbach. Erica, thank you for joining us on Anime Sickos.
Thank you, Tom and Joe. Oh my gosh.
Erica, tell the listeners a little bit about yourself. Who are you? What's your deal?
What's my deal? I'm going to give my bio because I'm blanking right now because I'm nervous about being funny on this show. I'm an artist, writer, and computer programmer. I live here in Chicago. And just by virtue of living in Chicago and doing any kind of performance for 10 years, I'm now a person known in various performance circles.
Chicago is the largest small town.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a really, like, we'll get into this later, but, like, it really is there's weird little circles of, like, 50 people who think that this is really important.
Yes. Yes.
And we're in them circles. So, yeah, Erica, you kick ass. And also for those of you at home, Erica is the co-producer of my other show, The Skewer, which is a live monthly news satire show every first Wednesday of the month at Cafe Mustache in Chicago. Erica, thank you for joining us, as we said, but now is the time that we must put to you a question that is put to all of those who go Guesto Mode. And you know what it is. It is, are you an anime sicko?
So, sicko, to me, and maybe this is just because I'm old, sicko means...
Erica, for the listener, we're the same age. Everyone needs to know that the true thing is that Erica and me are the same age. Continue.
Yeah. Sicko to me means a pervert. Sicko to me means a hard-boiled detective in the 70s wearing a trench coat saying, this town, this Rorschach talking about the sickos and the perverts who need to be swept into the ocean, burned with fire. Yeah. So
well, it is also that.
It's a bad thing. So I get confused because on this show it's clearly a good thing.
It's a good thing because we took it back.
It's our word now, yeah. No, it's from ostensibly it's from the song "Sicko Mode" by Travis Scott, which is like a pretty good rap song, but like whatever. It was a big hit, like I think last year. They say "Sicko Mode" once, which is a huge crime. It should be the chorus should be as we have in our bumpers: "Sicko Mode, Sicko Mode, Sicko Mode, Sicko Mode, Sicko Mode, Sicko Mode."
Right,
do
a song I sing to myself. I just want to add into the mix.
It's a really good song to mumble to yourself on the bus.
I also sing "Never Been Horny, Never Been Horny. Don't tell the paper that I ever got horny."
Yeah, that's OG music sicko Chuck Rios laying down those dope tracks for you. But you know, sicko mode has become, and sicko in general just means that you kick ass.
Okay.
Yeah, like we originally found out that people were saying it in gaming contexts, like there'd be like competitive fighting games and someone would be kicking ass and they'd be like, oh, he went sicko mode. And Tom and I were like, people are doing a bit, right? Like no one's saying this sincere. And no, it was super sincere. And what's really funny about that is, like anything, quote unquote, teens or younger people say, they've moved on from sicko mode. Sicko mode is like gone. Now people say getting nutty with it.
They say something kind of goes.
Yeah, like, or it's really schnice with it.
Are you playing games with me? Are you playing games with the old person?
No,
oh my gosh.
No.
Getting schnice with it?
Yeah.
They put sh in front of stuff. Like if someone is like, if someone's footwork in and positioning in a fighting game is really good, they're really schmoovin'.
Okay. All right.
But sicko mode, as is the case whenever Joe and I encounter a piece of phrasing that we think is dumb and clearly the stupidest, and we say it as a joke, it was never even, not even the first time was it a joke. The first time we say it, we might as well just admit, like, this is now one of our things.
Yeah, it was the same way how I started saying rad, like ironically, and now I've never meant it more sincere. And then someone at work actually like made fun of me because I said rad, and I was like, first of all, how fucking dare you?
Yeah.
But they were like, that's like such an 80s thing to say, and I was like, actually, it whips ass.
Do you still say whip sack?
Oh yeah, I didn't say whip sack at work though.
Whip sack, that's one I've always been confused by you, Joe. Joe thinks whip sack means good.
It does.
Yeah.
Well,
That one I'm really confused by.
Well, here's the thing. Here's where I think your sticking point is. Being whipped in the sack is bad, but something that whips sack is good. Now, I understand why you might have the disconnect here, but like, you don't have that disconnect with someone saying that something kicks ass.
Yeah. But
Kicking someone in the ass, that ouchie. I would hate to have my ass get kicked.
I would argue that you don't have that same reason with kicked ass because like the imagery is all used up in kicked ass. Like it doesn't mean anything. Like it is, as an evocative term, it has been sort of drained of its images because it's just rote at this point. But whip sack, that's really restarting your brain when you hear that.
I guess so, but like that really slits throats.
That is an escalation.
Like
Erica, I love that.
no, don't say that. Isn't that uncomfortable?
We're getting off track, Erica. The question was, are you an enemy sicko?
I can't say yes because I still hear that hard-boiled detective. I need to be inured. And every time I listen to this podcast, I get a little bit more inured to this notion that sicko means a good thing. So catch up with me in 6 months, hardcore anime sicko.
Mm-hmm. Well, I like that answer. I will say, though, that it might not be a good thing that you're becoming inured because even though sicko means someone who is in sicko mode, which is to say they've like reached the height of their powers and their hair has changed to a different color and is standing on end and they have powers now. The fact that it is an anime sicko specifically, if you watch anime, you are a pervert. That is just the facts. So like you don't want to become too inured because like let's not lose sight of what we're talking about here.
So, yeah, your first reservation about how sicko means pervert was a correct, thing out of the gate.
That's true. Yeah, I wanted to say, what about Cowboy Bebop? No, that's for perverts.
Yeah.
That's,
in the movie, Faye gets tied up and someone undoes her shirt and her boobies are flopping around.
What about Pokemon?
That's for perverts. There's so many
DBZ.
Pokemons that look like ladies that people draw big pornos of.
Monster Rancher. Kenshin.
So Monster Rancher rules. I never watched the anime, but I played the game extensively. And the game, unlike Pokemon, is like Pokemon, you have like friends and like you train them and you do battle with other Pokemon trainers. In Monster Rancher, you are a small business owner. Like you own a ranch and you basically breed fighting animals in a way that is unfortunately very grounded in reality. And in the PlayStation games, they had this feature where you could swap out the discs and like monsters would be generated based on what disc you put in. And I remember like the Hanson CD had a really good monster. I don't remember which album it was. I don't know.
It had to have been Mbop.
I must have been because it was like the only one I had like access to.
No, wait, Mbop. The album couldn't have been. The album must have been Middle of Nowhere, though.
Yes, you're right.
We looked it up.
Couldn't be anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the record company isn't going to be making deals with fucking Monster Rancher to put a good monster in the CD unless it was like the Mbop one.
Yeah, no, it was just like generating stuff from ones and zeros. There was no intention behind it.
This is apropos of nothing, but Hanson has reminded me of a fun story that I'm going to tell. Is it okay if I tell this story? You both know what it is.
I don't.
So I was in a journalism class when I was in college.
Big error.
I know. Fucking the dumbest thing I ever did. But one person, for like one of the mid, semester stories that we had to write, they wrote about adult Hanson fans in Chicago. Like Hanson came to Chicago and like they had a full sold out show of adults who all came to see Hanson and like wanted to hear the new stuff.
Yes.
And we all thought that was like an incredibly fun and interesting story. And like we really spent a lot of time as a class like asking this person about it. Like wow, that's so fun. Like how did you come up with this as a pitch? Like this is really interesting. Like wow, I can't believe I never would have thought of this. Cool. And she was like, yeah, it's just I had a feeling that this would be an interesting story. And then during the last class of the quarter, we were gonna do something else. But what happened instead was this person just dropped the bomb. Like, by the way, just so y'all know, the reason I knew about the adult Hanson fans is that I'm one of them.
So good.
Mask
This is
off.
so good. Guys, by the way, I'm the Golden State Killer.
Yeah, all the shit we were going to do that day, that didn't happen. Instead, we were just like, how come you're that way? And, that was dope shit. Anyway, Monster Rancher, I think we were talking about.
That's not for perverts. But as everything else on my list, I made a list of all the anime that I like, which never comes up on this show, including Speedgrapher, Akira, Cowboy Bebop, Evangelion, which never comes up on this show. I don't know why. It is the most anime.
I think it's because everything I see online about it, I get like, it's one of those things where I've absorbed so much of it through like cultural osmosis. I've never sat down to watch it. I'm like afraid to. Do you ever had that happen?
Oh, you should be afraid to.
Okay.
That is the correct
Okay, so I have like
feeling.
a good defense mechanism in place.
I have seen Akira in college. I rented the movie. I don't remember much of it because, again, it's been 3 years since I've graduated college. Me and Erica are the same age. These are all factual things that I'm telling you.
By the way, we have photographic proof that we are the same age. The book jacket cover for The Skewer reveals that we are, in fact, the same age.
You can't deny it. Look at you. Would you disbelieve your own eyes?
Post it on the show's Twitter after this.
Yeah, 2 19-year-olds.
Yes. I saw Cowboy Bebop also in college. These are, of course, like foundational texts of anime. But what's the difference is these are not animes for sickos, because these are the sort of animes that you would show to someone who is a normie to convince them that there is artistic merit in these Eastern cartoons. We do not want any artistic merit. We want Goku.
Okay, I believe that about Cowboy Bebop.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one that you could show a normie. I do not believe that about Evangelion. I do not believe that Please Save My Earth. Please Save My Blue Earth. Please Save My Earth. I can't remember now which one it is. I knew the title in Japanese.
It's one of those two.
I do not believe that about Kenshin.
I don't know what that is.
Oh my gosh,
Give me
you
the
guys!
deets. Give me the juicy thing.
It's the samurai stuff, right?
Yeah, Kenshin is a samurai one. I don't remember the details of it, but it's like something has no memory and he's traveling, trying to get it back.
Does he have magic? Is this like normal samurais or like crazy samurais?
I don't remember it that well. I just remember watching it in middle school and being like, I like this. Or Iria, that's for perverts.
That's pretty. I don't know.
We're gonna
These
have
are all things I've never heard of. I need to watch these.
We have a pervert watch list now because we
Yeah.
need to really put in some work.
I will say, Erica, though, that one of the series, again, most of the shit you have sent, I never heard of. But I did look up Speedgrapher. And if I'm understanding correctly, the main character has a camera that when he takes pictures of stuff with it, the stuff he takes a picture of blows up. Is that
Yeah.
true?
That is 100% true. It is so... Speedgrapher is so good. Speedgrapher is so good. It is very much for perverts, but it is so good.
So I watched Speedgrapher like on a whim, like, I don't know, 5 years ago. It was like literally, I want to watch an anime. I don't know anything. And it was available to me. So I watched Speedgrapher. I recently rewatched the first episode because you had mentioned it. I forgot that the entire premise of the show is that there's basically a big society of Epsteins. And like they have basically a captive girl who is like a de facto not sex slave because she doesn't have to have sex, but like she basically kisses people who are in masquerade masks, and it either like kills them or activates powers. And like there's this whole like society of like basically rich people who can do whatever they want. I didn't like the first time I watched this, like it must have glossed over me, and maybe I just became more class conscious. I was like, oh, this isn't even fiction.
Yeah.
I also love that the title makes you think that it's about someone who's really good at pivot tables.
Oh, brutal. I'm sorry. There's a lot of bashing of pivot tables in my house, and I can't stand for it anymore.
I use pivot tables every day
I
of my life.
adore pivot tables, but I'm married to someone who does not appreciate their power. I know.
Yeah, Speed Grapher is cool. I distinctly remember a part where he puts a telescopic lens on his camera and he uses it to basically just blow away an entire hillside like it's a bazooka sniper.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. These fucking whips.
Yeah, and I think
how could anything stand in his way?
They took his camera, so.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would do it.
And he has to fight people who have like also similar powers. I think like literally the first enemy is like a guy in like a gimp suit, right? He's like
I don't remember that.
Yeah, he's like a stretchy, not like Luffy, but he's like a weird flexible like rubber pervert. But like he's got like a ball gag in his mouth and he's like trying to kill our murder photographer.
Your powers correspond in buck wild ways to your weakness or your interest as a regular human.
And he's like a war photographer. Was that what it was?
Yeah.
So yeah,
he hates what he takes pictures of.
Yeah.
Or his photos now create a war, or his photos create death.
So Erica, I think we've been dancing around this. I want you to articulate like what it is about these pervert cartoons that like what is the key to you to unlock your dopamine center, and so we can compare and contrast with ours.
My favorite thing about any anime is that when you start it, it's often of a very goofy cartoon atmosphere. It's very Sailor Moon series season 1.
Mm-hmm.
And then by the end of it, it's not even good versus evil. It's whether or not existence will continue to exist.
Or whether or not existence was a mistake or not.
Yes.
Yeah, and so the stakes are completely changed. At the beginning, it's like, I feel nervous in high school. And at the end, it's like, will you unlock the jewel that begins the song of destruction that ends all of existence as we know it?
Yeah, there's like a 14-year-old who's like asking like, is it right for me to wage war on consciousness?
Yes.
And that shit rules.
Hypocrite that you are. I mean, that sounds pretty cool, but like what I want is I want a teen to be fighting a bad guy who's kicking his ass. And I want the bad guy to tell him that having friends is stupid.
Sure, that's part of it too. Found family.
And then the teen thinks about his friends so hard that he unlocks sicko mode and kicks the guy's ass.
Yeah, that's a good part of it too. Definitely friendship and found family and togetherness and working together and an unlikely band of motley crew. That's a huge part of it. I very much enjoy that trope. I very much enjoy the goofy animal comedic relief character. Mm-hmm. It could be a penguin, it could be a duck, it could be a bird of some kind, it could be Pikachu.
It could be a bird.
I'm into it. I'm always into it.
But it's got to get bleak.
Like, for me, I think what initially like drew me to anime was it was like the first time I had seen like one animated fights that were like cool and not just like Looney Tunes stuff. Mm-hmm. And also the first time I saw like actually detailed animated violence. It's also like, oh. Like it never occurred to me that you could make a cartoon where a guy's arm gets cut off. And not that like I was necessarily drawn to violence, but like the sort of shocking realization that like, oh, this is a thing that can happen. And then there was a section in Blockbuster that was like anime, and it was like, you must be adult to look at this. And I was like, oh, this is the mega pervert island.
Yeah. Yeah.
Never been horny. Never been horny. Don't tell the paper that I ever got horny.
For our next segment, it's story time with Erica. Here you got some stories for us.
Yeah, I've got 2 stories.
We'll go.
Okay, first. Good. We're gonna cut all this nervous laughter. Okay, I'm gonna tell the unattractive Kevin story.
Yes.
So I had a lot of dating misadventures when I lived in San Francisco. It was a strange, bleak time in my life. And in particular, in the year 2009, I was like, I am going to date until I fall in love and find someone who loves me back, which did not work out in 2009.
Yeah.
But it led to many crazy adventures, really condensed into a condensed period of time. And so every time that I've been at the Moth, I can just pull from 2009. It's like shelves of stories each month. So I think it was January of 2009. This was back when Craigslist in San Francisco was an interesting place to meet interesting people. Now Craigslist is just, I want to cheat on my wife. You should be Asian and don't have drugs.
Or it's for like, I really like serial killers. I want to bump one of their stats up.
Yeah. But at that time in San Francisco, people would write interesting essays, and it was an interesting way to meet people. So I don't remember if I responded to Kevin or he responded to me, but this person sent a photo of themselves that was in dim lighting. I was like, all right, well, you're passable. Let's go for this. And my preferred date at that time was to, especially from a Craigslist date, was to be walking outside. So if I needed to run away, literally, I could just run.
This is very pragmatic.
Oh, super pragmatic.
Yeah, I respect it.
You should have carried, and maybe you did, a second ring of decoy keys that you could just toss to get them to look the other way.
Yeah. Ding, ding, or like a bell.
Yes. Anyway.
So I meet this person in Golden Gate Park, and this person's photograph was not that attractive, but I was like, we can make it work. This person was less attractive even in person. So this person I nicknamed Unattractive Kevin, and I feel fine about that nickname because of the events of the date, which included so many deal breakers in quick succession in our conversation walking around
rapid fire fuck ups. I love it.
So there were three monstrous deal breakers. One was, he said, this was January 2009. He said he felt milky toast neutral about Barack Obama, just kind of not interested. I thought, how do you feel neutral about this person, this incredibly polarizing figure? I could relate more to being very anti-Barack Obama than just like, who cares?
It's true. Like, this is the one of the three that fucking blows my mind, because it's very easy to be like, meh about Obama now, because we can see in retrospect how the
Right.
administration played out.
President drone strike.
But in 2008 and 2009, we were sold a bill of goods that was like unequivocally awesome. Like, if all that were true, hell yeah.
Yeah, but also it's like coming out of 8 years of Bush. It's a big change.
Right.
How do you not feel some way about it? So that was deal breaker 1. Deal breaker 2 was he said that he found the Star Trek universe very rich and interesting, but the Star Wars universe was very thin and uninspired. And I just couldn't wrap my mind around this.
Like, Star Trek is cool, but like it's also sterile compared to like how all over the place Star Wars is. And I don't even like Star Wars that much, but like, credit where credit's due. There's some goofy, cool planets.
I love them both.
Yeah.
¿Por qué no los dos? Like, they're great. They're both awesome. They're both super fun. They're super rich, super inspired.
I think the difference, and why you say sterile, Joe, because it's not sterile, because there's a lot of weird pervert.
Yeah, Joe.
Fucking.
Yeah. What about Risa? What about Risa, the sex planet?
The fuck planet where everyone go to fuck.
I would not go there.
Yeah, fucking they make Picard go there, and he has such a bad time because he hates to be horny and does not want to be horny. And people come up to him and like, oh, I see you're carrying the idol of horny. He's like, no. Anyway, no. The reason you think it's sterile is because I think like Star Trek and Star Wars have like the same like quantity of lore, but like 80% of the Star Trek lore is about like how they go to work.
Yeah, I know
Yeah.
a huge part of it also is the little hints about how Earth was before, the space utopia happened. So, like, I know there'll be little details about, like, the reunification of Ireland in, like, 2030 and with the super IRA or whatever that gets kind of sprinkled throughout.
Yeah. But Star Wars has magic. That's pretty cool.
The third, and this was the deal breaker we could not possibly walk back from. I really did almost start running in Golden Gate Park. Just break into a sprint. He said that he was really into anima. I said, anima?
No, when you first told me the story, I'm like, oh, that's like a Tool album, I think.
And he said, yeah, Japanese cartoons, anima.
Oh.
And
I didn't even realize what he was saying.
I almost screamed at him, no, you are not. You are not into anima. You don't like it. Because if you liked it, you would know. It is anime. If you're going to be a real weeabo. Can I use that slur on this?
Yeah, you can.
The W word is allowed.
Okay. Or it's anime. You can, that's it. There's no anima. Oh my God. Oh my God.
I thought he was saying enigma wrong.
Yeah.
He likes mysteries.
Yeah.
Or like, Erica, I put this to you. What would be worse, anima or anime?
They're equally bad.
Equally
bad. They're both terrible. But it's not to say. Yeah, I've watched some anima before. That's one thing.
Yeah.
That's one thing.
Yeah.
But to claim on a date, I'm really into anima, just such a horrific lie. What else are you lying about, Kevin?
It's like,
Also, like, of all the interests to lie about, anime is pretty low on my list.
Yeah.
if you were to tell me like someone lied about their interest in anime, I'd be like 100% hid that they liked it.
Yeah.
I've never seen MLP. Oh no, fuck, I said MLP.
Yeah.
It's like, it's one thing to, misunderstand how to pronounce a word that you've only seen written down. Everyone does it. I used to think behemoth was behemoth.
Yeah.
Because, it's not a often spoken aloud word.
Yeah.
But it's one thing to be like, that thing's a real behemoth. And it's like, oh, that's not how you pronounce it. And I was like, oh, I've never actually heard it spoken. Thanks.
Yeah.
It's not there to be like, oh, yeah, I'm a professor at Princeton where I study behemoths.
So,
Yeah.
did he follow this up with examples?
My brain shut off.
Oh yeah, sure.
Being super honest, my brain shut off.
You went in
My mind was
survival
fine.
mode.
Yeah, it was definitely in survival mode. Definitely fight or flight. Definitely should I just start running? Did not start running. I think we walked around for another hour. I do not remember the conversation at post anima.
Yeah. Scene missing.
And I really thought I telegraphed, I think you're an okay human being in that you're a human.
You don't seem to have committed any
But
crimes.
we're not gonna see each other again. I thought I was pretty clear. Like, this was the last time we saw each other. Fare thee well, good sir. He did not pick up on that. So then he emailed back like, hey, when can we see each other again? And so I said some lie like, I'm super duper busy for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And then because San Francisco is an even smaller town than Chicago,
Right.
a mutual friend 6 months later,
Oh no.
having found out that we both wrote webcomics,
Oh no.
put us on an email chain and said, hey, you guys should meet each other. You guys, I think, would really hit it off.
Oh my god.
I begin dying inside,
What was your body's physical and chemical reaction when you saw that email?
sinking into the earth.
Okay.
Yeah, I was sitting on my little couch and just going deeper, 200 feet, 500 feet, 600 feet into the earth. And then unattractive Kevin writes back in the chain, Erica, where have you been?
Oh no.
And writes who knows if it was actually genuinely heartfelt. What else was Kevin lying about? But did say, like, in a word, Erica, I would like to date you. And then I had to be a little more explicit.
That's big, like milady energy.
It was big milady energy, in a word.
Oh man, that's rough.
There was no coming back from the anema for sure, though. And in retrospect, I wonder if I should have just told him that.
Like, buddy, no, and for future reference, you're on a date. It's fucking anime.
Like, I know I call you unattractive, Kevin, but the real deal breaker here, you got to get real about these Japanese cartoons.
Yeah,
this poser shit is killing you.
Yeah.
Do you even have a favorite studio?
Word. Yeah.
All right, Erica. Time for the next story in Erica's story time. I think this should be the story of how we met. And
Oh, this was an important. Little did I know how monumental it would be for this to have happened, because my life has changed so much for the better, Tom, because I went up to meet you after
likewise
when I met you. So this was April of 2015 in Chicago. Tom and I both performed in Right Club. We did not go up against each other.
Right Club, for you at home who don't know, is a fun show that rules where there are 3 pairs of writers who are given opposing one-word topics and have 7 minutes to write some stuff, and the audience applauds for the winner. At the time, I was a little baby boy. And I wanted so badly to be part of this circle of 50 people because I thought it was extremely important. And being on Right Club was like a dream to me, and I was so happy.
Tom did a piece that involved a lot of references to Star Trek. And at that time, I was taking Second City improv classes. So I brought all my little 20-year-old improv friends. One of them was super unlucky in love and a nerd. And she said, "Oh, my God, that guy is so cute. And he did a piece about Star Trek. Oh, my God." And I said,
Those
well,
are both 2 true things.
and I said, well, how about I introduce you to? And she's like, "No, oh my God, no, don't, please don't." And I was like, "I'm already doing it. It's happening." So then I approached Tom after the show and I asked, and I was like, my fear in asking what I was about to ask was that he would think I was asking for myself. So I may have even prefaced it with asking for a friend.
You did. Mm-hmm. It was clear. I never for a moment thought it was
Beautiful.
otherwise.
Asking for a friend. Do you have a girlfriend? And now I want to also talk about when this is asked of a male and a presumably hetero, because we live in a heteroarchy, presumably heterosexual male, there are a couple of ways this gets answered. Sometimes it gets answered, nope, meaning like, what's on offer? Sometimes it gets answered, no, I'm not, and it's a clear, like, not interested. Sometimes it gets answered, yeah, or yes, but what's on offer?
What's behind the curtain?
And the fourth way it gets answered, which is the way Tom answered, is a yes, which makes it so clear, I am girlfriend sexual.
I'm a wife guy. A big wall grew in front
There
of
is
me.
no sexuality reserved for anyone else. It is all directed toward wife or girlfriend. It's like if horniness were electricity. This answer is an EMP cannon. And no one is horny for miles after that. Yes. And I love when a man answers yes in that way, because culture tells men that they're supposed to be constantly horny, never faithful, always looking, cheating all the time. That's what culture tells men to be. And when a man instead is like, I would just like to cuddle one person, I'm super into commitment and love, that means that somebody is listening to their heart instead of culture. And I
I unlocked the sicko truth, which is in order to watch anime, you cannot be horny. And I applied that to all portions of my life.
Yeah.
What a sweet, I didn't know this. This is such a cute story.
Yeah, so I immediately felt like I knew a lot about Tom just from that one word, yes. It's like, we're already hitting the ground running. I know a lot about this person.
I remember my feeling in the moment, which is like, I just had this like single full body flash of panic where it's like, I have to make sure I don't accidentally say no. Because like, you know, like I hadn't talked to you, and when you're talking to a new person and you're like sort of like trying to get up to speed with like, what is this situation that's happening to me? Who is this person? It's easy to like misspeak. And I was just like, fuck, what's the one that makes me not horny? What's the true one? I'm like, yes. And I was like, fuck, yes, that's the right one.
Yeah. And so then I gave Tom my email, and then I got invited on Tom's show, and then a year later got invited back on Tom's show, took a bunch of photos. Basically, I did a free labor for Tom, and then he
Yes.
invited me to be a co-producer.
Yeah, let's talk about the skewer, because this is something that and it's a type of posting, I would say, a type of live posting.
It's also very much related to how Chicago has 50 people.
Yes. So
Yeah.
we have the skewer, which is a live lit show, which Erica, I'm a Chicago townie. I don't know shit about anything else. Is live lit a thing anywhere but here?
Yeah.
And also, what is it to a listener who don't know?
It's live essay telling, live storytelling, but if you write it out in advance, you're not storytelling, you're live lit. If you can read from a paper, it's live lit. If you have to do it just from off the dome, then that's storytelling.
I will say, I think, just culturally in the artsy circles, I feel like the word storytelling has way more. The stock in the word storytelling is much higher than live lit.
I also, this is sort of unrelated to the skewer, except that the skewer is awesome because it doesn't do this. The thing about storytelling that made me super intimidated and not want to get into it is that in order to be a storyteller, you have to have insane sex mistakes all the time. You have to constantly be having the weirdest sex and doing it so wrong with crazy people, or you have to be doing hard drugs and then going to a funeral every week.
Yeah, or leaving your abusive husband. And
yeah.
you cry while you do it. Yeah.
If I were to do a storytelling show, it'd be one time.
I saw a duck.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't do that much stuff, folks. So it sucks that in a storytelling show, so often is not about your skill as a writer performer, but has some shit happened to you? Has something fucked happened?
Yeah.
Yeah, often it's have you packaged trauma in a interesting or entertaining way, which, first of all, if anyone wants to do that on their own volition, you should absolutely do that. But it does sort of set up a weird pipeline where you just sort of mine your bad experiences in life for the content farm, which makes me wary.
Yeah, that's the dark side of it. There's the other part where people use it as somewhere between stand-up comedy and storytelling, which is more how I operated there.
Erica, what was it that brought you to the skewer specifically? And this is not just for the listeners. I'm interested in knowing how this happened. I've sort of lived it, but I haven't interrogated it.
You were offering me an opportunity to hear my voice over a public address system. Tom, now I am hearing my voice over a good quality microphone and headphones. I never want to leave this studio.
You don't need music anymore, right?
No, I just want to read the papers in front of me, listen to my own voice. I want to pull up Wikipedia. I want to pull up the Wikipedia for Alien, which I like to read on a regular basis, the 1979 film, and just read it out loud to myself. Oh, yeah.
That's good shit.
The Hodorowski version, Mary Brandywine, how they had no gender for any of the character names, Yaphet Kotto.
Is that? Oh, that is true.
Carrie Henn.
Huh.
Ian.
I got to read this wiki.
It's so good. That one, and then the East Coast, West Coast Rap Wars version that was deleted.
Why? Was it too real?
They started feuding in the page.
So there was a version of the East Coast, West. I don't want to.
Go.
I'm going to tell this whole story, and you can cut it out. So there was a version circa 2011 of the East Coast, West Coast Rap Wars Wikipedia page that was clearly written by somebody who had lived it. And they were writing in as dry and journalistic storytelling voice as they possibly could. But it was there were no citations because they had just lived it. It was deleted subsequently, maybe around 2013, by a user whose justification was, I never heard of this, therefore, I don't think it's real. And there were no citations. Delving deeper into this particular user, I then discovered that this user had been banned for life from Wikipedia for a totally unrelated dispute because they claimed that a different user was editing transcendental meditation pages and was themselves involved in the transcendental meditation community, which is a no-no. But the deleter, the rap deleter,
The rap deleter was the one who got banned for life, or the rap writer?
the rap deleter got banned for life.
Okay.
Because he, in trying to investigate this transcendental meditation editor, started stalking them, getting involved in their personal life.
Ooh.
So then I'm reading the transcript of a Wikipedia tribunal in which Jimmy Wales himself weighs in and bans the rap deleter for life. And then there's a part where just any Wikipedia user can chime in and say what they think. So there's all these people saying, like, he didn't really mean it, Jimmy Wales. Like, he's a good guy, Jimmy Wales. And then there's a couple like, no, you really can't stalk people. And I wanted to chime in and be like, this motherfucker deleted the East Coast, West Coast Rap Wars page because apparently he hadn't heard of it. Ban him for life.
Oh my God. This story is Death Note to me. This is the same.
Is this archived anywhere? I want to read
Yeah,
it.
so the all of this stuff is archived. I said you guys, I archived off the Wikipedia links, relevant links, so you guys can take a look at the whole drama of it. But definitely starting with the East Coast, West Coast Rap Wars page as it existed in 2011. It's a great read.
Oh,
so
man.
I would definitely sit here and read that entirety just hearing my voiceover. But yeah, now we're getting back to, we've peeled back waves of flashback. So you, Tom, when you said, will you be on my show? All I heard in the email was Tom saying, you can hear your voice over a public address system. And when I hear that question, my answer is always yes.
Yeah,
Cool.
in a new place, right? Too. It happened in
Sure.
a new place.
I mean, Cafe Mustache, I've been in a million shows at Cafe Mustache because I'm in the circle of 50, 100 people.
That's true. That's
right?
true.
So,
Cool.
So,
Okay,
yeah.
so I was trying to get at, like, let's talk about, like, the nature of our art and our work and how this collaboration has come to be and what we make and, you know, what our philosophy is behind it. But I think, actually, asked and answered, that story says it all.
well, I think the other part that was about our rapport and I think why we're good co-producers is that we both are really good at email.
Yeah.
It's a dying art form.
It is.
When someone doesn't email me back fast,
my
I'm
God.
just like,
Oh, they hate
I'm
me.
gonna write my name I'm gonna write their name in my death note.
Oh, in the initial stages of co-producing, we were writing like 1,000 words a day to each other, just long essays.
And here's another fucking thing we both do that I don't think another living human on the planet does. If we write an email that's like, hey, I have 3 things I have to ask you. 1, some important thing. 2, some other important thing. And 3, an equally important thing. Every single human being on Earth, I'm being uncharitable. 98% of people won't respond. They'll just delete it and actually send me like pictures of the pig shitting on its own balls and send a mail bomb to my house. 2% of people will respond and be like, hey, so glad you asked me those questions. To answer question number 1, here's the answer. The end. And then 2 people, a statistically insignificant amount, so 98 and 2 add up, us, will answer all 3 questions. And we will number them 1, answer, 2, answer, 3, answer. No one else does this. Listeners, if you have ever noticed yourself not doing this, you are soul sick and need to be fixed. Get at it.
Here's a question for both of you. In your professional life, has this behavior ever been a boon to you?
I mean, to me, no, because I'm a cog and nothing can ever be a boon to me. But this is actually, we're going to talk about this later. I want to know what Erica's answer is.
Yeah, no, it helps. It helps quite a bit. Actually, the number one skill that I've developed as a freelancer, the number one thing that's helped me is I write an email and then I do a little bit of a word count, just an eyeball the word count, and I remove half the words.
Wow.
Oh,
Just make
fuck.
every email like a poem. If there's a really important question, the whole thing is bolded. And it just make it so clear. I don't think of it dumbing it down anymore. I used to think like, well, I have to dumb things down for my clients. And now I think of it as I'm just making it so clear. Just setting everyone up for success. So yeah, but definitely emails like poems. Fewer words. With Tom, I don't have to censor that. It's just every word. It's fine.
Yeah, well, obviously, this is an important word because it's in an email to me.
Yeah.
Cog Talk. Cog Talk.
So, Erica, we mentioned this sort of in passing just in the last segment. This is going to be a strange cog talk because you're not a cog.
Yeah.
How?
I know. I've been free for 10 years.
You removed yourself from the binary of cog and God. You got out of the cave.
Right. I'm not a boss, and I'm not. Yeah, I'm out.
You know now that they were just finger puppets in front of a
Shadows against the
flame.
wall. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, to say to me that you've been not a cog for 10 years and also have money to eat the food is it sounds like sci-fi to me. How did this be?
Yeah. It happened because we live in a time when if you are decent at computer programming, decent at web development, there is so much money to be made.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to be that good. You can write a lot of bad code for a lot of people for a long time, which I did, and you can still make money from it. I do also want to acknowledge a lot of privilege, which is that in the early years of freelancing, when I did not make very much money, it kind of was just head above water, I had the fallback if needed. If I had needed to ask my parents for money, they could have given it to me.
Yeah.
I also was in very good health, so I would not have been able to afford health insurance, and I also have a pretty major pre-existing condition. So in Illinois, before Obamacare, you could get very expensive pre-existing health insurance, but it was really crappy. And also it did not cover the health care that I actually needed, which was basically women's health, just pap smears and breast health and things like that.
Yeah.
So because the pre-existing condition, even though it prevented me from getting health insurance, is a non-issue. It's a kind of a set and forget it pre-existing condition. It's a brain tumor, but it's a set it and forget it. And
Brain works fine.
Brain works fine, but the healthcare I needed was available for free in Illinois through the Healthy Women's Card. So the choice was either do I get health insurance that will cover me if I get hit by a car or get cancer, but it's very, very expensive. I think it was something like $500 a month.
Jesus.
Or do I spend no money and keep the Healthy Women's Card, and that'll cover the health care that I'm actually using. And so I made that bargain at that time. And then Obamacare came around, and I was able to get, at the time, I got like the lowest cost HMO, which was $90 a month. And I was like, this is great. Thank you, Obama. And then the next year, that same plan was $200 a month. And then the next year, the same plan was $300 a month.
Fun how that
and
happens.
I opted out of that by getting married to someone whose work health insurance covered me. I don't know where I would land health insurance wise. Were I single or not married?
So before my big, I guess first corporate job, the kind of job where you can show up and just meld into the furniture and get health insurance, I did a lot of freelance. I was not full freelance because I just had W-2s and just everything. And I started that sort of patchwork work history exactly at the time when those first $90 plans were a thing. And it just so happened in my life that lined up. And then, as you have said, and the same thing happened to me, where I was like, oh, as a freelancer now, I can this is fine now.
Yeah.
And then, 2 years went by and I was like, oh no, oh, it's not fine anymore.
Yeah.
So, Erica, I got to ask, the question is not, is being not a cog better than being a cog? It's how beautiful is the promised land? How fruitful are its valleys?
It's so good. It's so good. I understand talking disparagingly about when Biden says just learn to code, what a fucking dipshit. But for me, I learned to code and I became free. I'm free.
Fuck.
I don't work a lot, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Fuck.
I don't work very much. Even when I was working my hardest, I was not working a lot. And 2018, it's a different situation now because now I'm a mom. Now I'm a mom. But just prior to being a mom was the first year where I actually was making, in terms of income, as much money as I was making as a cog in 2009. So it took a long time to even get there. Of course, when I talk about there's just the dollars and cents on my tax return, that's not taking into account all the time that I had.
Yeah.
Because I thought of that, especially the leaner first years of freelancing, I thought of it as I am paying a high price for my own time. And that helped a lot. That helped a lot to think like, well, I'm paying $30,000 to be able to do whatever I want.
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it. I was in kind of a similar situation where it's like you get money and you're like, okay, well, there's like an invisible tax here I got to think about later. So what happened is I just never spent any money because I was like, I don't really want to sit down and do the math about what I'm going to owe. And then it just made my frugal instincts become extremely frugal. And I like my 20s, I was like, I'm a shambling husk man. And then I got a real job. I was like, oh, now I can buy stuff and not feel the angel of death with his sword above my neck.
Yeah.
Fuck. I want to do that. Being a cog, I gotta tell you, it really sucks ass.
Yeah, learn to code, Tom.
Yeah.
Just learn to code.
And when Biden says it, he was saying that to a bunch of like 70-year-old coal miners, which like, I mean, anyone can learn to do this stuff, but I think, I don't think that's what those guys wanted to hear.
No, yes, there's somewhere between adapt or die, motherfuckers, and look, we have to help each other.
Yeah.
There's a path in between.
Yeah.
Or I don't know. Actually, look, we have to help each other. Never mind. There's no path in between. That's the one. That's the path. That's the middle path. That's already the path.
Bow, bow, bow.
Yeah, and also the thing that made me laugh, he was like, if you can shovel coal into a furnace, you can learn to code. And it's like, these are different skills. Like he was trying to be like folksy, like that's actually the hardest job ever. But like they're different.
Yeah. So the other part is that there's been just a pretty static market for people who want WordPress sites.
Yeah.
Originally, all of my work was word of mouth because my former boss's husband needed a lot of crappy code. He didn't say that, but he was willing to pay me a very small amount of money per hour in order to write code that looked fine. In retrospect, now I can review it and feel horrors, just the terrible, shoddy workmanship. But that's a big part of it, is that you have to kind of be bad at it for a while. So, and then via him, I got a lot of word of mouth clients. And then in 2014, Google did a web crawl of my portfolio that put me in the top 3 hits, sometimes the top 1 hit for freelance web developer Chicago.
What the fuck?
Oh man, that's like winning the SEO lottery.
Yeah.
Negative. I worked really hard for that positioning because a different cog job that I had was writing SEO blogs.
Okay.
How do you do that for podcasts?
I mean, we can talk after the show. Like, we can really do this. We can do this, Tom.
Okay.
I can put us the top. What's your search term?
Anime boys, handsome. Yeah,
Done.
that's it.
Not horny. If they put horny in there, we want to be excluded. Actually, if we show up, we want Google to explode and burn all the source code down. The servers melt.
Yeah, I'll make this happen for us.
Excellent.
Let's talk about this. All right, once that, then it became a matter of thinning the herd of all the people who found my website. So then there was a long period where all my clients were people who found me from the internet, which is the lowest quality of possible client because they think of it's a dehumanized way to find someone.
They don't see you as a person.
I'm not a person. I'm just a web service like Amazon.
You're the black box, and I put in my request and some money, and it comes out right. And if it doesn't, fuck you. The bias is broken.
So for a long time, I would have a quiz on my website. In order to contact me, you had to pass the quiz.
Oh, fuck.
That's a smart move.
Oh, it was great.
What was the quiz?
The quizzes were like, if somebody presents themselves as having had a lot of bad experiences with web developers, does that reflect more poorly on the client or on web developers?
Oh.
What were the answers like?
Almost always people said it reflected poorly on web developers. And then for a while I considered if you failed that question that the email would just go to dev null. Like I would just never see it. I would never interact with those people.
So you wouldn't even be tempted.
Wouldn't even be tempted to tee them high and let them fly.
Yeah.
People usually said that it reflected poorly on web developers.
That's insane.
That's a really good question because as someone who did content management and like CMS sort of development at a previous job, one of the most frustrating aspects of any web stuff is the people doing requests often don't know what they want.
Yeah.
And if you're in a freelance position and you're talking about billable hours as opposed to like an office job where everyone's just working, you start having to have conversations like, you keep changing your mind on me, and that's time.
Yeah.
And I need money for all these fake do-overs.
Yeah. I just found that people who are really clear and excellent to work with tend to select excellent people to work with, so they don't have those bad stories.
Sure.
Or the people who have had bad experiences, they don't front load that in talking to me. Like, I had so many shitty girlfriends, but you're gonna be the one. That's a huge red flag. And then in 2017, one of the clients who found me on Google, which was a largish nonprofit based in Chicago, the point person I worked with wrote a really nice review of me on Facebook, which I've never seen because I'm not on Facebook, and I think it was even in a closed group for large nonprofits. But based on that review, then there's been a steady influx of work from largish nonprofits, which is my sweet spot because it's people who care about doing good things for the planet, and they're people who themselves are good-hearted people who are good communicators. And then also there's a decent budget. And that's where I'm at.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's a long-winded, not funny story.
I'm going to have to learn about... I'm going to go to a fucking boot camp when I... Ugh.
No, don't go... No.
Those are bad?
Tom,
We hate
no,
those?
don't go to boot camp.
I don't know.
They cost a lot of money, and now what a lot of them do is fully aware the costs are high. They're just like, you just have to pay us a percentage of your salary after you get a job after. So we're like back to indentured servitude.
Yeah, no boot camps.
Okay.
Sicko mode, sicko mode, sicko mode. Sicko mode, sicko mode, sicko mode. Sicko mode, sicko mode, sicko mode. Sicko mode, sicko mode, sicko mode.
So Erica, I'm going to ask you a question. So obviously Tom and I both have gaming and anime energy. I'm going to just say this. I haven't talked this over with Tom. My gaming energy is higher than Tom's. But
I agree.
But his anime energy is higher than mine.
Yes.
So I wanted to pose you this question. Are you a gaming sicko? Like, do you have also the cursed hobby?
Not now.
You escaped.
Oh.
I guess I escaped. I hate to say that I outgrew it.
Is this conversation going to be like talking to someone who worked really hard to get sober about all the cool drugs they did? Because we don't have to have it if that's how it is.
So I wrote a list of games that I've played.
Okay.
This is dating back to probably 1989. Gorillas, which is an MS-DOS game demonstrating QBasic programming language.
Was it ape based, like actual?
Yeah, there's apes. You have these. You stand
cool.
you stand on skyscrapers, and you have a banana, and then you get it tells you what the wind speed is and the wind direction, and then you have to you give an angle and a strength of which you throw the banana, and you're trying to hit the other gorilla.
So this seems like a more educational version of Worms. Worms is like this game where you just like shoot like projectiles at other worms, and it was like wind and like all that stuff. But like it had nothing to do with QBasic. It was just like a pure game.
Yeah, Worms is not Earthworm Jim, right? That's
No.
different.
No.
All right. And then there were a bunch on our Tandy VGA computer, 4 colors. So Awesome Earl and Skate Rock.
I don't
Awesome
know.
Earl
This.
sounds great.
This name kicks ass, though.
Avoid the Noid.
It's about the Noid.
Yeah. So those were the games we played constantly. Those were on the 5-inch, literally floppy disks.
Yeah.
That could flop.
Yeah, you could like whip someone.
Yeah. I believe that there are probably anime sickos listening to this who were born between the years 1979 and 1984 who are going nuts right now thinking about Annoyed the Noid.
Yeah, those people. It's weird that you relate with them because we're the same age,
It
and
is
I wasn't
true.
born in that period, so neither were you. But isn't that a fun coincidence? Continue.
Then we were hardcore in the pocket of big Roberta Williams from Sierra. We were big time Sierra point and click adventures. So we did Police Quest 2, Manhunter 2 San Francisco, King's Quest 5, 6, and 7. Hardcore into those. Still think about those. Still can sing songs from King's Quest V. We're the Ants, serving King Antony. We're coming to save King Graham. So resonant. My coworker, when I lived in San Francisco, my coworker Lars, we would sometimes quote Cedric the Owl. Oh, Graham, a poisonous snake. So those puzzle games. Oh, Quest for Glory 4. Quest for Glory 4. Are you nodding, Joe? Have you played Quest for Glory 4?
Not 4, but in general, I like questing for glory.
Oh, Quest for Glory 4 is so good.
What do you do?
It's another point-and-click adventure game. You are an adventurer. If you had played Quest for Glory 3, you might have a paladin character, which you could upload to play Quest for Glory 4. If you had not played Quest for Glory 3 and saved your paladin, you could not unlock the paladin. So this was very frustrating to the dreisbach children. Like, oh, what are the cool things the paladin could do? You are in a magical kind of fairy tale world that is being terrorized by the impending arrival of a demon. The name of the demon is one of the puzzles. Eventually you find out the name of the demon is Avuzal. And then there's like a vampire child and her beast caretaker. And you have to help her out, help her learn that she's a vampire. And there's the Rizalka. She's a pond spirit, and you have to not get seduced by her. That's the only horny part in the whole thing.
Well, I would have no issues.
There's Baba Yaga is there, so you have to defeat Baba Yaga. There's a romance between different gatekeepers, so you have to go through all the different boards, going back and forth, ferrying messages between these different gatekeepers. But ultimately, it's moving towards this bigger storyline of can you prevent the demon from erupting out of this valley of Vuzal.
Seems good.
It is so good. Quest for Glory 4 is extremely good. We also played a lot of Commander Keen. We also played some educational games like Midnight Rescue.
Oh, I don't know this one.
Oh, it's a reading comprehension game. So but there's all these crazy robots. So in between doing reading comprehension tests, you read passages and then you answer questions. Then you also might have to fight robots in the halls.
This feels like how we had to do type to learn, and like I already played PC games. Everyone's like, it's so cool we get to play a game at school. It's like, this game sucks. Like, I go home and I play SimCity, and this is just, where's the letter T?
Myst, another puzzle game, and then Lode Runner we played. The Dig, a point-and-click adventure. Oh my God, you guys!
Everything is very narrative based, which I love.
We were deeply into that. And then we did more of the things that you guys will recognize. Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
X-Wing.
Heard of that.
Quake 2.
Yeah.
And then Final Fantasy VII was probably my last game.
You picked a good one to end on. I think.
I don't understand how this list is crackling with gaming sicko energy, and yet you just set it down. You set down the childish things and walked.
Well, bringing it back to Joe's analogy, then I think alcohol came into my life and wiped clear the slate. So as an adult, the only games I could think I've played are Bastion, which is a great one.
Whips.
Yeah.
Papers, Please.
Yes.
Yes. Joe.
I like that. I'm not even that good at it, but it's like a fantasy where I was like, what if my cog job was a matter of life and death?
Yeah.
So that's kind of interesting.
Well, playing it with an Eastern European son of a communist regime is also especially meaningful. And then just doing real spy stuff, or the stakes feeling extremely high and the game itself not telling you, having a total moral ambiguity.
Yeah. It's really interesting because the only real sense of purpose in the game is that at the end it's like, can you afford heat right now? And that's the thing that's driving you more than this guy's going to for sure get through the gates and Molotov cocktail the embassy.
Right, or do I reunite the lovers? Well, if I reunite the lovers, then I can't feed my children tonight.
Yeah.
So this, you think about yourself if I existed in Cold War Berlin, I would totally be a good-hearted hero.
Right.
And then this game teaches you, no, motherfucker, you would not.
Can we just say the best character in that game, though, is he's introduced immediately. He's the
Gorgio.
guy. Is that the guy with his own, he draws his own passport that sucks man? That guy is so powerful. I want him. I want to play DLC where you're just that guy.
Yeah, he's great. And then so Papers, Please, Bastion, and then a gay dating sim. I played Coming Out on Top.
Hell yeah.
And that is probably the last of my gaming. But I like keeping my fingers in the pie. I like knowing about gaming. My husband is a gamer, so I'm always asking him what he's playing. And then there's a high correlation between people who are diamond mode in StarCraft or people who play KSP.
Kerbal Space Program.
Correct.
Yeah, I never got into KSP.
It's too intimidating
But
to
like
me.
KSP is one of those games when people play, that's like the only game they play.
Yeah, people get hardcore into it. So if you play KSP or diamond level StarCraft and you think I'm funny, then there is a very strong chance that we will date for 2 or 3 years and have like a really beautiful relationship where we like really care about each other. So it's really important for me to know these. I still, even though I'm married and very happily married, there's this part of me that reflexively is like, gotta know what the cake is a lie means, because at parties, I would literally kind of loudly say these things and see whose head turned. Usually someone shy in the corner. And if their head turned up, it's like, now I'm going to hit you with a joke. And if they hit them with a joke, then it's like, we're out of here.
Yeah.
Say anime. Say it right.
Yeah.
You just write it down. Please say this word to
Yeah.
me. And they're like,
It seems to me, and maybe like, could it be that possibly the reason that the gaming fever isn't pulling you back? Well, I know one of the reasons is that you are a fucking new parent, and when are you gonna fucking do it? But also, one reason the gaming fever isn't pulling you back is that it seems like a lot of these formative experiences are point-and-click adventures, a genre which doesn't happen. No one does them now.
yeah, the studio that did do them and tried to reimagine them and did a very good job on some of them, Telltale, then like went under. I don't remember the specifics, but
It was like a lot of fraud, very poor management. All the employees were basically getting the skin of their feet sliced off and fed to them. Yeah, and it was bad.
Roberta Williams is still alive. Why has she forsaken us?
I'd be curious what she's doing. I wouldn't be surprised if she has like a Kickstarter for some good project.
Maybe she's just rich and it's like, fuck it.
That's what
Actually,
hookers
that's
and
the
blow.
best.
That's what I want for her.
Yeah, she earned it.
But like, so when you play Manhunter 2, every time you die, there would be 3 like fairly well rendered human faces, and as an adult, I now recognize that's the 3 people who made the game.
Yes.
That's it. That's what you needed to make a game at that time. You the art, the story, and the programming. That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, fucking Hollow Knight, which is, if you've played it, an absolutely gorgeous and jam-packed full of shit game.
Yeah.
It's
It's
just
like a
3 people.
hand-drawn game.
Yeah,
Okay.
3 people.
Wow.
Just 3. Music, art, story, level design, all the programming. 3 people.
Oh, I want to add to League of Legends, which I like to refer to as Laurel of Lorecraft. When somebody says, "Oh yeah, I play LOL," that's an important one too. That was one that's like, say it at a party.
That's a good joke. I would be like very impressed by that.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah.
it's both like a nerdy joke, but it's also like dumb.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Dumb energy
Yeah.
is
Have
so
you,
powerful.
Have you taken higher level math? Can you?
Oh, my math education is solidly 8th grade.
All right, we're safe.
Yeah.
One more thing before we go, which is that the reason why I stopped playing Final Fantasy VII was because I worked hard enough to finally get the Golden Chocobo, which means a lot of Chocobo racing. Finally got the Golden Chocobo. That meant I could go to the special island to get Knights of the Round, which is the very special materia, which could then defeat pretty much any enemy I wanted, but it would crash our PC.
Oh no! And it's really funny because that summon takes like 40 minutes.
Yeah, it would. So we'd be like halfway through King Arthur, Galahad, and then just done.
Yeah, that summon rules because it's like King Arthur and all his boys, and then they like slowly walk up and it takes an hour.
Yeah, and I was like, I don't care if Sephiroth burns the world down. The Genova Project, I'm not. Is
Yeah.
Eris going to save us? I can't.
You
anymore.
said something I really relate to though, which is like how for you the gold chocobo became the game. Like that's something that always happens to me in games where it's like 3/4 through there'll be like some sort of meaty side quest, and I'm like, well, fuck the main thing.
Yeah,
I only care about the birds now.
Yeah.
And then I wonder why I didn't finish the game, and it's like, well, it's because you stopped. You
did finish the
You
game.
became like insanely laser focused on a thing that has no ending.
Or they introduced the better game, and you beat the better game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, it's crazy that story didn't end. Oh well.
Erica, you also like the forbidden text.
It is, and it now is a stand-in for everything about men who hate women. Now I'm a big-time sexist for liking it.
What is the text that we're referring to?
Infinite Jest
Oh.
Yeah.
by David Foster Wallace.
Well, he is a man that hates women. So that's part
He's
of
a
it.
big abuser.
Right. But I didn't know that in 2008.
Oh, I didn't either.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't either. I learned like a year ago.
Yeah.
I love that book. I love that book. So I was reading. So I had a vol-cell year, which is it's like being an incel except voluntary.
It's incredibly
Yeah.
powerful.
It sounds like sort of like you were a secluded monk.
Yeah, it was like that.
It
Yeah,
was a training arc.
Yeah.
yeah. Just had a bad breakup that involved alcohol, and I said I just never want to. I don't want to feel this way. So there's a way I can guarantee that. I just will not touch any person for a year, and I also won't drink for a year. And it was during that year that I read Infinite Jest, which also involves a lot about
A lot of
sobriety,
addiction.
a lot
Yeah.
about addiction. This was also the first time in my life that I started to think, like, I might need to go to one of these AA meetings and meet the alligators. I might have to do that. It came into my life. It was the message that I needed to hear at that time. It was also so vast, and I was getting lost in the first 300 pages, as most people do, and then was searching for instructions online how to read it, and somebody said it basically it's a retelling of Hamlet. And at that point,
That's
yeah.
new to me.
Oh, so yeah. So once I parsed it as this is a retelling of Hamlet, then I could completely relax because I know what happens in Hamlet. So I could just enjoy it. I'm sorry,
This is new to-
fellas.
I-
I'm trying to map
I guess I'm
Fellas.
the
dumb.
one on the other. and
Was
it's-
it that obvious? Guess I'm dumb.
Oh, fellas. Yeah. Hammy himself is split up between Don Gately and Hal. Hal. His name is Hal.
Oh, I guess, yeah.
And then you've got the dead dad.
Right.
And then you've got
Ghost.
the mom who's having the affair with the brother figure,
Okay.
the uncle figure.
I guess.
Yeah, you've got these. Michael Pemulus as a Horatio figure, like Hammy. You've
What,
got.
what is the film? What is the film Infinite Jest represent in Hamlet?
Oh, it's not 1-to-1 like that.
Okay.
So
okay,
yeah,
well, that's where.
Yeah. So there's no. Like, isn't
What's the
play within the play though?
What's
so
the
that's
club
not like
of
that.
diaper boys? There's a club of diaper boys that Hal goes to at one point. That's really fucked.
Oh my god, that is such a good scene.
I can't. The diaper boys.
Yeah, because that's the joke where he thinks he's going to a meeting. Is it Alcoholics Anonymous? He's for some reason he's going towards a meeting with the expectation of seeing someone. Oh, he's following someone, and then the meeting is basically a bunch of guys who are like, I'm really glad I can be here with my other buddies who love to wear diapers all the time. We love to wear
crawl
diapers.
around.
Let's all crawl around and
I
be
bl-
with our diaper
I
bros.
blocked this out.
It was the older brother of one of the students at the tennis academy.
Yeah, and he was following him for some reason, and then it's such a it's a very David Foster Wallace way. Like the build up for the joke is very long.
yeah.
It's because it's like a lot of him traveling by several buses to get there, and like him going to the wrong meetings and waiting around. And what's the punchline? I'm a diaper boy.
Yeah, I have no memory of the diaper boy part. But you've got an Ophelia figure in the form of prettiest girl alive, prettiest girl of all time.
Mm-hmm. Joel Endine.
So as soon as I read that interpretation, then I could just relax for the next 900 pages and have a really good time indulging in every footnote because I always had a roadmap.
Uh-huh.
And
That's-
I tell that to other people who are interested in reading the book, like this is your roadmap so you don't feel lost and crazy.
Also, I wonder. The fact that the first 300 pages are like literally impossible to follow for a first time reader.
Right.
That's got to be intentional. I wonder, like, was that a dumb move? Because it feels like kind of like maybe
I just
throw
know
me a bone.
if I had the confidence to make something and the little attached instructions with something I created were like, the first 300 pages, you're not going to like it, but you're going to for sure keep going, right? I don't think I have the self-confidence to create such a thing.
Isn't that the first 3 novels of The Wheel of Time?
I don't know. I never
Robert
read
Jordan's
that
The Wheel
shit.
of Time. Good. Don't start. Just stay away.
Don't they get real Christian?
I don't know, because I didn't get past the first 3.
Oh, okay.
But from my perspective, it was here's a huge block where you are just going to have to let your mind be in a sensory deprivation pool.
You also have to remember it all because it all becomes recontextualized later.
That book was useful for me, and specifically the first 300 pages, because it allowed me to do or get used to something that improved me as like just someone who consumes any sort of art, which is something's happening and I don't really get it, and I just have to be okay with that at the moment.
Yeah.
And there's a type of patience with that that obviously before that I've come into that sort of problem before. It's not like I've never dealt with something like that, but like that book really allowed me to see that as a concrete skill and sort of hone it. And I don't want to say like I'm better for it, but it definitely increased my comfort with that feeling.
Yes, 100%. So I found Infinite Jest to just have been training wheels for a much better book that does the similar thing, which is Dahlgren by Stephen Delaney.
Don't know what this is.
So
Never heard of it.
Give us a little teaser, because you showed us the book before we started, and I'm interested.
It's made out of paper.
Yeah.
It's similarly weighty. It's a roughly similar size. It's also similarly, you read it and you're desperate to talk with other people about it, except it doesn't come with the same baggage. It's not fearfully misogynist.
Right. You wouldn't feel weird about reading this on the train.
Right. The only weird part about reading it on the train is another person who's read Dahlgren is going to approach you and say, "Can we talk about Dahlgren?"
Yeah, I've waited my whole life for this.
I've waited for this.
So you really, really like this book. It must be about tournaments, right?
Tournaments?
Yeah. Anything that really good is about a tournament.
Maybe a teen that goes to a special school.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, it's not about teens. It's not about yelling. Not about teens yelling at other teens.
What's it about? What's this? So give me.
There's a protagonist existing in a dystopian version of our world. It's not clear if our world has succumbed to war and resource deprivation or not. It's not clear if the resource deprivation exists outside of Bologna, which is where the events of the novel take place. It's just not clear. Other things happen. Like at one point, there's 2 suns. And is that really happening or is it not really happening? The moon gets really, really, really big.
Well, in Dragon Ball, the moon gets blown up. So these are the same to me.
It is anime.
So it plays with reality in a fun way. He crosses a bridge, and it's unclear whether or not he meets his future future self, while crossing the bridge. People have red eyes, and it's not clear whether they actually have red eyes or it's a mechanical thing.
You're describing a bunch of like really bold choices that don't get explained maybe, and I really respect that sometimes.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, you know what? Everyone's got red eyes. Shut up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's sort of like the anti-Dune, in that Dune has all these strange choices, and he's like, "Sit down, bitch. I'm gonna tell you everything about everyone." So what's like what is that thrust of this book? So you've given me the sort of feeling that it has a strange mystical tone where everything is vague and hazy, and it's got this strange feeling of this dystopia. But is it a dystopia? Is it a metaphor, or is it real? What's like the thrust of it? Like, because if it's Infinite Jest, if someone's like, "What's the thrust of it?" I'm like, well, it's about addiction and how that it's a mind-eating disease. And getting over it is extremely difficult, and it's extremely hard, and it is, in fact, an infinite task. But
my summary of Infinite
done.
Jest has always been, there's a tennis academy and things get out of hand.
Yeah, I mean, that also
Oh my
works, too.
God, I just say Hamlet. But for me, it's also about whether or not we can ever communicate with anyone. So
There's a little bit of that.
Hal's problem of...
At the beginning and the end.
At the beginning and end of not being able to communicate, is that not the state we're in now?
I mean, it is.
Yeah, so that's for me what the point of it is.
But I'm asking about Dahlgren. I haven't read this book. What's good about it?
It's a portrait of apocalypse that you don't see very often.
Ooh. I am addicted to dystopian anything, both like the Mad Max stuff and also like the slower, quieter.
Right.
arguably more realistic stuff. So,
Right.
So what is this portrait?
There's still city buses, but then there's also snipers. There are still rich people living in mansions, but they don't have any money. But they operate like rich people still. There's still motorcycle gangs, but they also hang out at the clubhouse and eat cans of beans and share with each other. So, man, I feel like I'm not selling it enough.
What you're describing to me, actually, I know whether or not it's sci-fi was debated. We talked about that a little bit beforehand. What you're describing to me actually seems pretty realistic as far as like what we have to look forward to.
Mm-hmm. Right. It's like you never know where your meal's going to come from, but you find it. You find a can of beans, then you share it with your buddy, your lovers.
Yeah.
I'm just not getting like this seem to me what you're describing is a book that you think is fine, but it's a book that you actually really love.
I know. Oh man, this is terrible. This is terrible. I am Hal right now, unable to communicate. I'm just spewing word vomit.
What does this book make you feel?
Hopeful.
How so?
Because I think it's a better picture of what humans are actually like. We're told over and over humans hate each other. They want to be at war with each other. We would just all be throat slitting and sack whipping.
Yeah.
If left to our own
the
devices.
state of nature is a whip sack and a slit throat.
And this presents, no, duh, you idiot. People are not that. People are weird, crazy perverts, but they still want to go to the bar. Yes, sometimes they want to have a motorcycle gang and bust heads. Sometimes they want to be a sniper. Sometimes they're still a bus driver. Why are they a bus driver? It's the apocalypse. Well, it's fun. I like it. I just want to do it. It presents humanity as in a state where if you could just do whatever it is you want to do, things are actually kind of chill.
This is giving me vibes of one of my favorite books and movies, and another book that is stigmatized because of the movie is silly, Cloud Atlas.
I really thought you were going to say Fight Club.
Actually, I thought it was going to be Fight Club too. Yeah.
No, fucking Cloud Atlas. I'm very similar vibes. We don't have time to go into it. I fucking love Cloud Atlas. But what you're telling, like the feelings and the messages that you're giving me here are very close to what that book is about. And they resonate with me.
I say Cloud Atlas is courageous people across time.
Yeah. They always win and they always lose and they always will.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love that about you, Tom, that you love Cloud Atlas.
It's so good.
It's so good.
We're the anime sickos, and we're here to say anime is bad in a war crimes way.
Erica, before we go, you told me that you have been infected by the sicko mind virus and now say sicko words at home. What are they?
All the time. We say, this is a marriage word. This is a household phrase now. Give me to slop.
Yes.
Give me to slop all the time. Also, sometimes I'm a good little piggy. Give me to slop.
You do the dance for daddy and get the slop.
Yeah. And then
do the dance for daddy is something he said that is just like the minute he said it, it was like getting into my spine. Like it's in there now.
And then we also say normal in a Tom Harrison way. It's very normal. And then I also say phrases that aren't necessarily from this podcast, but phrases that you guys say all the time. Like, for me, Joe Anderson, the tone poem of online is a toilet. And we are all there. I'm really there. I'll try and do something else for a while. Then I'll think, I wonder what's going on at the toilet. That whole paragraph, it's like written on the wall of my mind. And I just read it out. I just incant it to myself sometimes.
You know, Winnie had seen me perform that, and she didn't spend a lot of time online at that point, and then she has since. And like just as recently as last week, she was like, I didn't really appreciate that until now. And now that I'm like idly looking at Twitter, which can we briefly talk about how you've left it behind?
Yeah.
Which were, first of all, good move. Second, how dare you, because you're not liking my stuff.
Yeah. I have one less number.
I like it
My
in real life.
I know.
I like
it's more
it in
meaningful,
my heart.
but it does not produce, and this is another word, a numbie. But
Can I do what my mom did for me when she would just email me that she liked it?
That's fucking owns.
yeah, that's better.
Okay, I'll
That's
do
better.
I'll give you a digest. Here are tweets that I like of yours, Joe.
So why did you? I mean, I think we know why you stopped doing it, but just articulate that. And what have been the benefits? Your brain is huge now. Like you just have you can fly, right?
It's getting better. I lost a lot of brain power in the process of having a baby. I really did get dumber.
There's a lot of calories being spent not in the brain.
Yeah. But being stumped by a question like, how are you? Which in previous incarnations, that's been a stumper because of depression. It's like, I don't know how to answer this because you don't want the real answer. But now it's a stumper because I won't know. Or what did you guys do today? And I'll just be super duper stumped by that. That's weird. It's weird to be dumb that way. But now that I spend less energy on Twitter, I'm feeling some of those powers return, some of my mental sharpness returning, which is great. Primary reason for quitting, well, number one is actually when Kumail got a hot bod.
Oh, fuck.
And
that was so just mentally damaging.
There were a lot of people reacting in horny ways, and then there were a lot of people reacting almost in a disappointed way, like he used to look like one of us, now he looks like one of them, and I couldn't
You don't want to have to consider the signs of that. Can I be honest about that? I think that's part of MK Ultra, him getting beefy.
And number two is the election coming up.
Oh God, yeah.
And it's just going to get real bad in there.
Yeah.
It's going to get real stinky real bad. So I just didn't want to be there. But I keep my hand's in the pie, my full hand in the pie, not the finger. So I go to twitter.com/i/moments so I can kind of keep my finger on the pulse
without
what's
having
happening.
to get in the weeds.
Yeah, it's an egoless endeavor because there's no account.
You
Right.
lay your tongue on the
Right.
surface of the toilet water like a cat, and then you're done.
Yeah, that's right. I take a sniff and I back out. And then I'm keeping my account. So I guess that's a little bit like training wheels. I'm keeping the account because I don't want someone else to take it.
Yeah.
It's associated enough with my name that I don't want it taken by somebody else.
Yeah.
Which means,
Especially as a freelancer.
oh yeah. And then all my likes are still there. You can't get rid of your likes.
You can't.
Here's
Those are important.
Here's a question. Now that you've been away from Twitter, do you feel like you have an improved attention span and you are reading a little, what do I say, reading like a book or anything long form more? Because whenever I take time away, that's what I notice.
Yeah, it's that. And it's also when I think about posting, it's like I'm going to have to write a whole blog post on my blog. And
Yeah.
so I sort of think more in those terms. I think more in paragraphs.
That has been the Anime Sickos newsletter has been a fucking boon and a half for me for those very reasons.
I'm so glad you guys do that. Have you shouted me out for coming up with the name Sickos Picos?
I don't think so. Erica
No.
came up with Sickos Picos.
I came up with
folks.
Sickos Picos.
And we heard it, and I was like, that is the most obscene shit I've ever heard in my life. That's getting used.
Yeah, yeah.
I will say, back to the mind virus phrases. The reason I asked you, in addition to you doing free labor, the reason I asked you to co-produce the skewer when I was doing it alone and needed help was you were on the second ever skewer, and you did an op-ed that my wife and I, to this day, think is like one of the best, which was about how comedians, the opening line was, there's a joke that many comedians use. It begins, vegans. And just like, that's it. And like incredible for one, but the gist was that like make your jokes now because that will soon be the only option.
Yeah. We're going to have to eat bug paste.
You talked about you're with a friend of yours, and you were talking about this in some way, and she was just like, I don't think I could ever be vegan, and you just say without affect, adapt or die.
Yeah, she was not a friend. But yeah, she was a friend from storytelling.
One thing you do as a performer that is like the cheat code to making me just fucking lose my mind is you just emphasize the wrong parts of syllables in words.
Oh,
And
yes.
it's
Yes.
better than the Mona Lisa
Yeah.
every time.
Joe,
And burgers.
do you remember?
Yes.
Do you remember when I gave you the cheat code? Not the cheat code, the actual formula skeleton that all jokes are built out of. That the Onion taught me.
Yeah.
One of them was misplaced focus, wasn't it?
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
I can't even remember specifics, but you sprinkle them always, and I'm always like, when's it gonna happen?
Thank you, Joe.
Yeah, I love it.
And that's another cheat code, and I do that a lot with the sound ooh, which is you don't need to write a funny joke if you just say a funny sound.
You also, there's a whole physical element that podcast listeners can't quite appreciate. You're just going to have to come in person to a skewer.
Your arms are like glitching out always.
Yeah. He's a reedy boy, and he uses every reed. He's like an air dancer in front of the car wash. The mic will be at mouth level, but his mouth will be below the mic, and the hands will be above the mic.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Like you're surfing and you're about to fall.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Thank you, Erica. I think this is time to end because I just got told I'm a genius. So I feel like that's a good wrapping up point. Erica, thank you so fucking much for going Guesto Mode with us.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Joe.
Aw, thank you.
We appreciate everyone who likes the show, and we like it even more so when the people who like the show are people that we respect and admire. So great. Glad you're into it.
Thanks, Tom.
Where can people find your stuff? I want to know more about you.
Yeah, you can go to my website, which is ericaricardo.com. If you Google me, it's above ericadreisbach.com, which is just for website stuff. But if you want the art me, the real Erica, that's ericaricardo.com. And you can also catch me hosting The Skewer Wednesday, February 5th, Cafe Mustache in Chicago, 8 p.m.
Who's going to be on that show?
Really great people. Anicio Muller's going to be on. Carrie Cook's going to be on. Joe and Tom are going to be on. Justin Parlett's going to be on. And Sadie Lynn Creet's going to be on.
She's funny.
So a hot as hell lineup. And, of course, the fake news quiz by Kevin Johnson.
I love it because he hates it.
Yeah, Kevin really dislikes having to do it. And I don't tell him to keep. I mean, like, I know he wouldn't keep doing it if he didn't like it.
Kevin loves it. Do you know my goal for this year is for Kevin to tell me that he loves me?
Oh,
that's going to be hard.
Has he ever said he liked you? This is like
No.
Okay, so
We gotta get there. We might have to jump.
this is like I want to win the home run contest, even though I've never played baseball.
I'm going for it. I'm going for it.
We're going to have Kevin go Guesto Mode at some point, and
Yeah.
we'll juice it for you. We'll massage the story.
Just tell him. Just tell him. Erica wants an I love you by the end of the year.
But he listens to the show. He'll know. He'll hear
That's
this.
fine. Kevin, you can know this. Kevin, you can know this.
You're like fucking L from Death Note. You're just saying the plan, and
Yeah.
you know it won't change anything. Anyway, thank you all for listening. This has been Anime Sickos. I've been Tom, an Anime Sicko.
I've been Joe, an anime sicko.
And I'm Erica, an anime sicko.
See you later. Thank you for listening to Anime Sickos. I've been Tom, a sicko. You can follow me on Twitter at TomHarrison19. Joe is also a sicko. You can follow him on Twitter at ShariaUncle. You can follow Anime Sickos on Twitter at Anime Sickos or email us at animesickos@gmail.com. Please leave us a review or something. I don't know. Tell a friend. Anyway, until next time, bye.